Welcome to Episode 8 of the Sustainable Tech Partner Podcast, hosted by Joe Panettiere. Today's guest is Andrew Sage, Vice President, Global Distribution and SMB Sales at Cisco Systems. We discuss his role as executive sponsor for sustainability within Cisco's Global Partner Organization, and we explore Cisco's fast-growing environmental sustainability specialization and associated opportunities for partners. Andrew, great to see you.
Hey, Joe, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Congratulations on a fantastic partner summit. It was great to see all the news coming out of the conference, especially, listen, I'm biased. It was really great to see the sustainability news coming out. So it was great to see that. Congratulations.
Yeah, sustainability was all over the partner summit this year in Miami. Main stage, breakout sessions, one-on-ones with partners, really becoming a main stage topic. So I love it.
Yeah, I know, it's great to hear. So I do want to talk about what was announced at the conference, but I want to rewind a little bit for viewers and listeners and readers who may not be familiar with the journey you've been on and the journey that Cisco has been on. So let's rewind a little bit. When did you become the executive sponsor for sustainability within Cisco's global partner organization? And by the way, what exactly does that role involve?
Yeah, great question. So about 5 years ago, Cisco started a circular economy board at the company. And that board brought together a whole bunch of stakeholders from different functions to try to drive Chuck's commitment to the market that he made at Davos a number of years ago, that we would drive over time 100% take back. And that required a lot of people to get together from manufacturing and product and channel and sales. And so I was introduced to the idea of how to get involved in sustainability at Cisco that way. I was always pretty passionate about it anyways. As soon as I started participating in that circular economy board, I realized that we could have a huge impact at this company. And it was in parallel that Cisco was really getting very articulate about the company's overall strategy for sustainability. The fact that we were going to invest $100 million in technology companies driving sustainable innovation, the fact that we now have really aggressive science-based net zero goals for 25 and 40. The company was moving really quickly down that path. And by participating in what was the Circular Economy Board and what is now called the Cisco Sustainability Council, led by Mary D. Wysocki, our Chief Sustainability Officer, I feel like I can have an impact. So I'm kind of like the spirit animal for sustainability for the channel at Cisco, Joe. We have people in all of our departments around the partner organization who do the work. And I represent us on the Sustainability Council and try to make sure that we're, number one, moving because we have to move, and number two, that we're sort of driving great cross-functional work so that we have these great outcomes and we're connecting back into everything else that Cisco is doing.
Excellent. So I got to give you credit where credit is due. You helped inspire some of the stuff that's going on with Sustainable Tech Partner. The first time I ever heard the terms Scope 1, Scope 2, Scope 3, they came out of your mouth.
All right. I love it. Excellent.
Yeah. Hey, listen, you've always been so good to me for more than a decade now in terms of the trends in the market. But so let's connect the dots from the overall Cisco sustainability strategy and the fact that as a company, you're marching towards net zero. I mean, that's one thing, and that's ambitious. I think it's related, but it's certainly it's a whole other opportunity to line up your channel partners and say, hey, there's business opportunity here. Align with us, and there's a way to differentiate in the market. Can you tell me a little bit about how you started thinking about sustainability as an opportunity for partners, and then how you started building out that, I think it's called the Cisco Environmental Sustainability Specialization?
You got it. Wow, perfect.
All right.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, good question. So I think Joe, there's probably three things that I would say bring the channel really clearly into the picture. And a couple of them are related to this idea that, there is profit in purpose, which is kind of this idea that sustainability can be good for your company's bottom line as well as being good for the planet. But the three things that I think bring the channel into focus here are, number one, that this is what our customers want us to talk about. And Cisco doesn't create outcomes for customers. We create technology, and then our partners go and create outcomes for customers. And our customers want outcomes that drive sustainability. And so without partners driving that for us, it's not going to happen. And so just like everything else we enter, this opportunity is going to be partner led, in a really, really important way. Second thing is that partners themselves are really interested in this topic. The wave started, probably more in Europe, but is certainly, it's cresting there, I think. But it's really building in the Americas and APJC as well, where, partners are setting their own net zero goals. They've got their own sustainability commitments. They've got, a focus on it in their communications and in their culture. And so that's the second thing. Partners want to talk to us about this, right? They're in a way, just like a lot of things, our partners are ahead of us. Some of them, they're pushing us. They're like, you guys are moving too slowly here. This isn't good enough, which is really cool. I really like that. And then, not for nothing, the third point is that our scope 3 commitment is to reduce the emissions from everything we sell. So reduce the consumption of energy of everything that Cisco sells into the market, which is really hard to do. And our partners are critical to that. So in a way, partners are also going to help Cisco achieve our own net zero goals, especially in that scope 3, where you plug a device into a wall socket. If that device is consuming renewable energy, then that's good. If that device is not, and it never does, then we will never achieve those scope 3 goals we have.
Gotcha. Okay. Now, okay, you gave me the perfect segue. You talked a little bit there about energy management and renewable energy.
Mhm.
At the conference and also online in your various blogs, you've written and spoken quite a bit about the partner opportunities here, and I'll mention a few of them:
Mhm.
circular asset management, energy consumption reduction, and energy management solutions. All of them are of interest to me. I'm wondering, can you tell me a little bit more in terms of how far along you think your partner base is in those areas, and where we might be seeing some leaders, and then where we might need to make up ground in terms of
Mhm.
partners getting educated here?
Yeah. Well, I kind of think that we're, in all areas, we've got a lot of work to do, right?
Okay.
Cisco does, our partners do, we all do. So you're gonna remind me what the 3 R's I go through, because I'll probably get through one and forget the other two. On
Yeah.
circular, it's kind of to me, it's like a really, really basic thing we should all be doing. Build into your practice, a partner practice, a circular offer. And make sure that that's part of all your RFPs and your responses, and your customers will appreciate it. You can take back everything that's not being used. You can assure them that it's being properly disposed of, and we can help a lot there. So on the circular side, I think it's a pretty basic opportunity for all of us to embrace. And a lot of the specialization that we launched, the sustainability specialization, is focused around, what does that practice look like? What tools do we have that help you enable that practice? How can we, can you give Cisco a call and we'll come and take it all back for you for free? What financing programs do we have that at the end of which we will take it all back? Those are the kind of things that that drive circularity, and I think that's a really baseline track, and certainly one of the tracks a lot of our partners are thinking about. So
Right.
remind me of your
Right.
second
Yeah,
category.
absolutely. I heard the theme of energy consumption reduction, and then the other one was energy management solutions, which I think go hand in hand.
Yeah. Yeah. So consumption reduction is a really interesting one, because, we've been building data centers and building networks for decades. And part of the part of the beauty and the challenge of Cisco's technology is that it can run for 10 years.
Hmm.
It's less sort of, it sort of times out a lot less quickly than some other technology types. And so one of the challenges we have is that you'll have some devices sitting in customers' networks. Actually, we've got 40-50 billion dollars worth of devices running in our customers' networks that are past end of sale and getting close to end of support. And those devices typically consume more electricity more energy than their replacement products. And
Hmm.
so we need to be articulate to our customers about the savings they can get if they upgrade that infrastructure. Of course, it's a great financial opportunity for our partners to go do so. But we wanted to make it easier. And so we've launched this tool called the Sustainability Estimator.
Right.
which allows you to look, go to PXP, which is where our partners go for all their partner practice information and Cisco data. And they can see their install base, and they can bring to their customers a proposal that says, if you upgrade your install base, you'll save this much energy, you'll save this much money, and you'll avoid this much carbon in the environment. And it's another sort of, I think it's another impetus to go off and do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are
Yep.
you hearing
Yeah.
that? I mean, do you hear that from partners?
I,
Is that something they want to do?
the thing I'm hearing, and it's global. It's not just Europe. It's not just Asia Pacific. It's even U.S. Is energy management is certainly. You have all these MSPs out there that are already doing IT management, and
Mhm.
now they're going to connect the dots to energy management. I believe.
Yeah.
I think it's starting mostly in Europe. I shouldn't say starting. I think it's very heavy in Europe just because of the price fluctuations on energy costs. So
Yeah.
people are very aware of that.
Totally. Yeah.
Here's the question I'll throw out of left field. So
Yeah.
you have we have a situation where product refreshes may be able to reduce energy consumption, right? More efficient products. But then you throw AI into the conversation where I shouldn't say everyone because I don't
Yeah.
want to overhype it, but there are concerns about AI applications just gobbling up energy.
Yeah.
Does that throw a whole new parameter into the math that chief sustainability officers and CIOs and partners should be looking at?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you need to make sure that when you're using a cloud computing service to drive an AI application, and you're aware that the footprint, the energy consumption footprint of that provider is probably doubling, year over year in order to meet the
Yeah.
needs of of AI. You need to make sure that they're at least using renewable sources of energy to power those data centers.
Yeah.
And most do, right? And this information is available. And so you can be smart about how you procure services, or if you're a service provider yourself, how you deliver services by ensuring that you're using renewables to drive it. It's not perfect because that means someone else can't use that capacity down the
Right.
road, but nor can you stop I don't think the progress of the industry, but I think you can do it in a careful way. But on the point of energy management that you brought up, there is a lot more to talk about there, because not only should you run the most efficient devices you can and use the most sort of sustainable sources of energy, but using the technology to reduce your consumption by being smart about it, by having a dashboard. You've spoken to some of our partners. I think you spoke to Logicalis, who had
Hmm.
a sort of a management plane that they developed on their own, that was sort of covering things you'd expect from an MSP, device usage, uptime, data consumption, all of that stuff. And now they've introduced energy consumption into that control plane, so you can see, how much energy you're consuming. And we're really working hand in hand with them, because we've got some really powerful dashboards that are API accessible in our data center platform. We've got a lot of energy management features in our Meraki dashboard. You can using APIs, you can create custom applications that shut down equipment when you don't need it, that report back usage on energy. So there's a ton of room for innovation on the sort of energy management side of the house. And that's really big, and it really has a much bigger impact when you start to think about um, energy networking, right? So, for example,
Yeah.
replacing regular wiring and conduit in a building and running most of your facility over Cat5 Ethernet cable, right? We had the convergence of voice and data. Now we're going to have the convergence of electricity and Ethernet. And we've got examples in our real estate portfolio at Cisco where we practically run the whole business, whole building on Ethernet. And that
Yeah.
saves like 25-30% a year. It's amazing.
Yeah, no, listen, I think the convergence you're speaking about is one of the reasons we launched Sustainable Tech Partner. As someone who's covered MSPs for more than a decade, I truly believe managed energy services will be part of the portfolio the way managed cyber is, the way managed data
Yeah,
protection is,
totally.
the way IT management of devices. It's just going
Hmm.
to be another category that you have to address. So I think you're right on target there. Hey, listen,
Yeah,
you briefly mentioned the Cisco Sustainability Estimator tool.
yeah,
Um, so, quick question. To the best of my knowledge, so you and I are recording this on November 16th. This
yeah.
new tool isn't Vapor. I think it's out any day now, isn't it?
20th. Yeah, it's out in 4 days. So probably when you're listening to this, it'll be out. Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
yeah.
Well, congratulations on that. And
Yeah, thank you.
that's basically someone can go right to your partner portal and start using that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're restricting access to our environmental sustainability specialized partners because we
Right.
want this to be part of an overall conversation. It's just a much more powerful conversation if you're prepared to talk to the chief sustainability officer or the facilities manager or somebody who's writing the checks for the for the energy versus
Right.
just the just our typical customers in the company. So we want those skill sets to be built up, and we do that in the specialization. So yeah, so for those specialized partners, we got 800 of them now. It's our fastest growing specialization, actually.
Mhm.
They can go to PXP and they can sign up, and basically what we're doing is we're sharing the information that we have to share to be science based in our net zero goals. How much energy are we
Mhm.
consuming? What's the embedded carbon in our products? These are all things that we already have to report on. So we're collecting this information every day. Why not share it with partners and allow partners to use that to go drive, benefit and value and profitability for themselves? So we're starting with this energy consumption data,
Right.
and that's going to evolve into including embedded carbon because more and more people are saying, I want to know, I want to know the whole story about this thing I just bought from you. How much carbon is embedded in it the day I bought it? And then how much carbon is it going to, produce as it's, in production for 3 to 5 years? And so the closer we get to that, the more we get to meeting the needs of some of our most stringent customers. Pretty cool though,
Fantastic. So
right? It's pretty cool stuff.
you know what? It is cool, and it's nice to see it come to life. And also, hey, listen, I have to go back, double click on that number you just mentioned. So you have 800 partners in the Cisco Environmental Sustainability Specialization now. This is only
Yeah.
a year old, right? Give or
That's
take,
about a
less
year and a
than a year.
half old. It's a year and a half old. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank
So,
you.
it's actually a good segue in terms of geographies. You mentioned geographies a little bit earlier in the conversation, but as we're watching the market, certainly in Europe, compliance mandates like CSRD, that Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive,
Hmm.
I think that's driving a lot of sustainability conversations in Europe at first.
Yeah.
But a lot of U.S. companies are going to get swept up in this, both with that standard as well as various U.S. mandates, whether it's
Yeah.
out of California or perhaps from
Hmm.
the SEC. Amid that ramble from me, what are you seeing in terms of interest from partners in terms of sustainability? Is this mainly a European-led conversation spreading to the U.S., or is it gaining momentum in the U.S.? Where are you seeing it?
Yeah. Super interesting dynamic because normally, as you know, because you know us well, right? We launch a specialization, call it security or collaboration or contact center, and about 60% of the partners are going to come from the Americas, maybe 25 from Europe and 15 from APJC. That's the typical mix. So we
Right.
launched the sustainability specialization, and it's like 65% of the partners are from Europe,
Okay.
and 25 are from the US and the Americas, and 15 are from Asia. So it is very different. And part of it is driven by the things you talked about, regulation and everything else in Europe. Plus, energy prices are just so much
Yeah.
higher, right? And especially recently, it's been crazy. So, that those two things combine to drive not a surprising outcome. But we are really starting to see the Americas and the US in particular start to pick up here. Um, as you said, I think you're right. I think stuff's going to start to spill over from a regulatory standpoint. Um, and also, there's this kind of innate, so I'm Canadian. One of the things I love about being in the United States and doing business here and living here and having a passport here now is that there's this pragmatism about, American business that's really refreshing. And one of the things that I think is sort of holding back the sort of landslide a little bit is that they're pragmatically thinking, okay, I really like the sound of this, but I need to understand the impact it's going to have on my bottom line. And so
Yeah.
now more and more, as it becomes clear that whether you're going out and proposing a smart building solution that reduces energy costs and drives a bunch of services for you, or whether you're using the sustainability estimator to upgrade a bunch of older stuff with newer, more efficient stuff that drives savings, you can put a dollar amount on those for a customer now and for your own business in a much easier way. And so I think that's the trick. I think that's what's turning the tide here in the U.S.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And I think anytime you're able to shift the conversation from sustainability being a quote unquote cost center to sustainability being a capitalistic revenue opportunity, and by the way, it does good for the world, why not do
Yeah,
it?
that's right.
That's a
Yeah,
win,
yeah,
and I do see it that way. And I think our coverage reflects that.
yeah.
So
Good.
listen, you've covered a lot of ground here. For partners who are new to the sustainability conversation, are there any basic first steps or websites or landing pages from Cisco where they should sort of dip their toes in to get some more education?
Yeah, at Partner Summit, we launched our Sustainability Partner Journey, which is basically, it's an online experience where, a partner can go, and it sort of lays out a path that a partner can take just from, the beginning where, you sort of establish what are your sustainability goals, where's your company stand, do you want to set net zero targets, all that kind of stuff. And then the second sort of path would be, what does a circular practice look like? How do I build that? How do I make that happen? And then the third wave would be, what kind of solutions could I build for my customers that would drive down their consumption and therefore create value? And kind of takes you on that journey as a partner. And you can start right at the beginning. You can jump in if you're halfway through your journey already, and dive into the solutions side of it. And it just gives you all the resources, information, programs we have around sustainability in one really easy sort of place
Right.
to go find them. Yeah.
Got it. So the term partner should look for Cisco Sustainability Partner
Partner
Journey, and
journey.
that's where
Yep.
they'll start getting that guidance there. Excellent.
Hmm.
Hey, well,
Yeah.
Andrew, two things. Number one, thank you for this conversation. But number two, every time I bump into you at Partner Summit over the last 15 years, you always stop, say hi, and give me a nugget of information that sort of helps me on my way with the coverage. So thank you. It's always great to catch up.
Perfect. Always a pleasure to talk to you too, Joe. Good luck with the new endeavor, and I'm willing to come back whenever you'll have me.
We'll be dragging you back in.
This podcast is copyright of Sustainable Tech Partner and Mentori Ventures. Music written, performed, and copyright of my son, also named Joe Panettiere.